of the year. You can go to symbolicstudies.org if you're not familiar with a vast array of work. So please come up. We're excited to hear from you.
Hi, everybody. Okay, right, now don't step left there suddenly. Okay. So I will greet you all, having heard from so many wonderful poets in the audience. I will say, good evening, poets. That's how one of my first teachers, Kenneth Koch, began his classes at Columbia that I took about 56 years ago. And I don't know, does anybody know if Kenneth is still alive? He also taught classes in Harlem, right off Morningside Heights. You drop down a cliff and you're in the middle of Harlem. And he used to start his classes at Harlem the same way. Good morning, poets. And I wonder if many of those poets that he greeted that way are still around. So I want to, Robin and I have never been here as featured poets. We have done, extempore readings sometimes with this group. And I think it's amazing that you can get a crowd like this to hear poetry and share in poetry. It's an astonishing thing as far as I'm concerned. Annie said, and I want to thank you for your continuity of spirit and purpose, Annie, in doing these spoken word events. And I'm going to try to make as many more as I can. I've heard really wonderful poets here, Chuck Stein and many others, too numerous to mention. But can everybody hear me okay? I'm a little bit away from you.
Yeah,
You're okay?
You're fine, totally fine.
Good sound system.
Oh, good. So I want to make sure Robin's voice is a little weaker than mine. She has just been in the hospital as of last week, and she was sniffing oxygen on the way over. But I think she's fine now. So
Sound system's really good, so it should pick you up.
oh, good. Okay. So somebody said, "Nice jacket, Steve." And I got this jacket about 10 years ago for a friend's funeral. And I didn't expect that I would have kind of unlimited opportunity over those 10 years to wear it. So I'm just coming from the memorial service of a very dear friend, Carol Lee Schneemann. And I'm sorry to be the deliverer of bad news if anybody is hearing that for the first time. She died on Wednesday after a long, I think 30-year bout with cancer and rallying with a magnificent spirit. And she listened to one of her friends and took her first chemo treatment, and we think it probably killed her. So I don't recommend that. And Robin has had cancer not for 30 years, but for about 7, and we refrained from doing any chemo or radiation. And I used instead some herbal preparations I got from England, and it probably saved her life along the way. But she's waxing and waning in strength and joy. So I'm going to talk about, Annie said, you can do anything. You do a poem, you can read from some of your books. So I'm going to tell a story about Carol Lee to start with. And I will pass this book around, or you can get copies of it that are brand new back there. Carol Lee, I came to her, a lot of the poetry that I have done over the years. I've never published a book of poetry. I have poems in my other published works. And Carol Lee lives about 3/4 of a mile down Springtown Road from us in a 1650s stone house. And it's a beautiful thing. I believe that she is, I was just talking to her elder care attorney, also a good friend, and we think it's going to go to the Women's Studio Collective, or it may become a museum of her prolific artwork over the years. So this is from a chapter in my book, The Transformational Power of Dreaming. Oh.
Thank you.
Why didn't we do that in the beginning? It's way better. Thank you, Lexi. I was afraid Robin was going to fall off that side there, or I wouldn't be able to reach the mic, so I'm glad she did that. A lot of the dreams we're going to work with tonight, or I'm going to read for you, or Robin is going to read for you, came out of our dream group that has been going on for 25 years. And just a couple of years ago, we decided, because of aging and ill health, to not do it every 2 weeks. So we've been doing it continuously for that long. And I was working on this chapter, which is, let's see, chapter 9, I think. I'm sorry, 7. Precognition, telepathy, and synchronicity in dreams. And I'm a believer in all that weird stuff.
You don't have to believe, you keep having it right in your face.
Yeah. So this section from the book, chapter 7 of the book, is Dreams of Chestnut and Gold Stone. I had just had, in one of my therapy sessions, a wonderful artist, man named, I guess I can say his first name, Sidney. And Sidney and I had a rocky start to our relationship because our office often runs late. And Sidney complained about that, and I straightened everything right out. And we developed a really wonderful friendship. And he told me a poem. He was going to leave therapy. He told me a poem of going on a water slide. And I'd had an identical dream the same night. And I told him about that. And so here's from chapter 7. The following day, I visited a friend, the internationally renowned artist Carolee Schneemann, also in her 70s, who lives down the road, in a beautiful 250-year-old pre-revolutionary stone house. You've got to see this place if you've never seen it. As we sat at her writing desk, I told her about my work on my dream book. Well, I would not have gotten this house if it weren't for dreams, she said. It was dreams that told me it should be mine. Once again surprised, though by now I shouldn't be, I asked, how was that? The house was in dreadful shape, she said. No one would want to live here. It was owned by a couple of elderly cousins of mine. It was an ugly, unappealing, blocky house with linoleum floors, and it had no heat and one tap of cold water running. That was about it. My husband Jim and I would come up from the city and sort of camp out with sleeping bags, camp stoves, and the like. Then there is this sort of obnoxious guy who comes into my dreams and speaks in a coarse, harsh voice. He treats me as if I am very dumb and don't know anything. So one night I had a dream in which he appeared. This obnoxious guy said, speaking as if he were the house, I am not what I seem to be. Tear up the linoleum and you will find chestnut. I was really nonplussed, but Jim and I did as he said. And there they were, these gorgeous 16-inch wide chestnut boards, now visible on both floors of the house as it is now. He came back a second time and said, take a hammer and smash that cement on the outside of the house. You will find gold stone. It looked so blocky and ugly, we never suspected it was a really classic Hudson Valley stone house. It's one of the pre-revolutionary Huguenot houses that was allowed outside the New Paltz settlement. We took a hammer and smashed the cement, and much to our astonishment found this beautiful stone that you see now. I'm going to pass this book around so you can actually see pictures of the house. It took us years to chip most of the cement off, but the stone really was kind of golden. It was scary to do that. I didn't know how to fix the ceiling once he destroyed it, but we did it. And there they were, those beautiful beams that you see here today. I was surprised and intrigued by just who this guy might be. Does he remind you of anybody you have known? I said, acting as a psychologist. She said, nope, I've never seen him. I just hear his voice. It always sounds the same, kind of gruff. He showed up when I was at the Gerson clinic in Mexico getting treated for cancer. I had dreamed what I thought was a silly dream of these young teenage girls in plaid skirts and stockings. His voice said, welcome them, appreciate them, they are your lymphocytes. Allies in healing was how she interpreted it. Carolee shared more. He even helps me in my art. I had this show honoring 14 dead friends. It was called Mortal Coils. And this was an internationally celebrated show. I had to design the coils. I did this and projected videos about each of their lives. So this became an international show that Carolee went on a tour around the world. He told me to use 3/4 inch manila rope and to have the motors that turn the coils go at exactly 6 RPM. Don't ask me why, but it worked. Lots of people have been to the show and found it very moving. And so here I'm going to pass this around. Probably going to just take it down. You can see the 16-inch wide chestnut boards and see Carolee's house. Unless you want to go out there, it's only about 10 miles from here. You can go out there and see it. Many of the poems you're going to hear have never been published. I have them in my dream journal. And I believe that dreams are a kind of a calculus of the emotions and of the spirit. That is to say, dreams when they come to you, and I say this from after 25 years of doing dream groups, when they come to you, they condense deep personal issues, and to share them in a group is a revelation. So, but here's a kind of an introductory poem. It's a little funny. It's called REM is Restful, REM is Good. Everybody know what REM is?
Yeah.
Rapid movement sleep. REM is restful, REM is good. I would have it if I could, rising from the depths of sleep, with a vision and promises to keep. But if I want my bones restored, it's deep sleep that I'm heading toward. Corpse-like snoring made of wood is what I'm like when sleep is good. Then, like a diver from deep ocean, my astral body sets in motion. Rising, swimming, soon I'm flying, the crystal globe of night I'm scrying. Now I'm back in REM again, the clouds are riding on their train. The animals, both wild and strange, within my dusky forest's range. The dungeons, mansions, all are here, the place of nameless, timeless fear. My childhood home is all intact, basement, attic, unattacked, as yet by all the cruel marauders acting on some fiend's disorders. I'm talking about nightmares here. A place of torture, fear of woe, a twisted tree, a single crow. But now, my friends and relatives are here. They approach me without fear. I hope by now our wrongs are right. I knew I'd see them in the light. Then my dreams are calm and plain. I'm working on my house again. Footings, soffits, claim my mind. The ordinary dream, so very kind. REM is restful, REM is good. I would have it if I could, rising from the depths of sleep, with a vision and promises to keep. My favorite poet is not Rainer Maria Rilke or William Butler Yeats, and I have hundreds of lines of their poems memorized. That's how much I respect these guys. But my favorite poet is this lady here. And so this is a dream fragment called Sisters, and please don't anybody be offended if one of us or another gets the gift of tears while we read our poems. This is a Robin's sister got Alzheimer's about 10 years ago, and she died last year. And then her wonderful husband, Jack, died shortly after.
Yeah, and she was brilliant and funny and witty and creative, and it was really awful. And she was a great big sister. She was wonderful. So, let's see here. This is a dream fragment. Sisters. And yet, one memory flickers fitfully at the silvered rim of dawn. A quiet throng is moving among shadows, carried along among the purposeful strides of tall, grown-up walkers. Walk two children, hand in hand. Sisters. The older leads the younger, trustingly, between the worlds, from out of time toward time. Sister, the elder child whispers, let's remember that we love each other.
So a dream will take up the issues that are foremost in your mind, or that are kind of in the unconscious part of the mind. I'm just going to read, oh yes, this is a letter to my mother. Her birthday was yesterday, March 8th, and she was 100 years old when she died. So this would be her 118th birthday. When I flew down out of the cold, vast interstellar spaces, I didn't know how cold, how fragile, how lonely I was. There you were, small, frail, slightly anxious, tending your house. It must have been your heart, ready for love, surrounded as you were, with the souls of lost children playing in and out of unfulfilled dreams. I wish those stupid doctors didn't tell you it was lower class to nurse, but you were warm and nurturing in all other ways. Your faith and love and loyalty were almost wordless, but deep as nurturing woe. If I pick out a word or a phrase to hear you say, you have some too, dear. In her last years, she was in her 90s, I'd come home from work, and we'd hold hands and watch Murder, She Wrote, while the dog got to have some too. He lay dreaming and smiling nearby. This is a poem to a wonderful mentor, Joseph Campbell. La recherche du temps perdu. You were patient, driven by me in that old silvered Jaguar through the Hudson Valley landscape, as we talked of the honeycombed caverns beneath Rosendale. Asked whether the presence of a real underworld was disquieting or comforting. I didn't know then how familiar the Woodstock woods were to you. You'll have to read our biography of Campbell to realize how very much embedded in this landscape he was. Naked in the Pennings pool, Alice in that rustic cabin talking of Archipenko. I would make a philosophical foray or an existential whine. Then the Apu Guru would surface and you would speak truth so forcefully I'd lose my breath, though never my sweet friend with the whack of the Kayusaku. It was more like those vertiginous moments when the hand gestures, the Nagwal sweeps away his disguise, and we dangle over a gulf of previously hidden cosmic monsters. If you took away my breath, Joe, you always gave it back. At times you exhaled eternity, summoned the scourging gale of the absolute, mysterium tremendum et fascinans. But when a little girl, your godchild, sat in your lap, your attention was totaled. Charm, puckish, love unconditional. You would have cried, as we did. Say it, you do it. Sitting with Jean to watch her graduation dance at Sarah Lawrence. Our daughter was Joe and Jean's godchild. In the end, you chose the beautiful Apsarases and the flower-decked throne of Blue Krishna over Zen austerity for your last mythology. You demurred those proffered Catholic last rites so sweetly that young hospital-appointed priest knew heaven's gates could never be closed to a man of such kindness. In my dream, we were the same age, about 60. We spoke of the remembrance of things past. La Rouge et Noire, and I remembered Schopenhauer. Was he conscious, or when he died? Your friend Irina Pabst asked so urgently when she heard the news. Oh yes, we answered. Oh yes. He was conscious when he died, and he headed for his writing desk. A priest had come in and said, would you like to take confession, Professor Campbell? And he said, I think not, Father, but thank you for asking. And he was very gentle with that priest, a young man. So this is one from one of the dream groups. It's called A Simple Meal with God. My soul is a whispering gallery, a fragile dome of ancient glass that hints the splendor of the sky. Within, I see a branching tree, deep questing roots, dappled branches like an animal's hide. On one of them sits God, aging slightly, broken down. Moving his arthritic limbs slowly so I can see he is an illusion of my own making. Will you join me for a glass of wine, Lord? I asked, not knowing what else to say. He laughs softly, without thunder, to help me hold my awe, smiles, and I see the sky above my mind-created dome is blue. Oh yes, I'd love that, he says, taking something warm and fragrant from his chest as we sit down. I'll provide the bread. So Robin, what did you do? One of the ones you have there.
Okay. Maybe I'll do this one because I've always been first to start and then do the education. Or the other way around.
However you'd like to.
This is a dream fragment, like most of the poems. Toward morning, between Friday and Saturday. And yet, one memory flickers fitfully at the silvered rim of dawn. A quiet throng is moving among shadows, carried along among the purposeful strides of tall, grown-up walkers. Walk two children, hand in hand. Sisters, the older leads the younger, trustingly between the worlds, from out of time toward time. Sister, the elder child whispers.
That's the one you read.
Yeah, it is.
Go, do this one.
Well, I'll just read the last one.
Go ahead.
Let's remember that we love each other. Yeah, I realize that I have read that.
Yeah.
But I love it anyways.
It's pretty good.
I had a really great sister. Hermes, night-winged guide, who treads with us the silver road to and beyond that darkest gate. Answer me this riddle. Who is alive without death? Is there any fully life-embracing soul who would reject wise death? You, faithful mentor, who offers us the fated chalice. If we did not drink, could we love life and all that lives so fully? If we did not die, could new life live? And that last line was a question asked me in a conversation by Dr. George Doe, a really, really wonderful and thoughtful minister.
So he really is a very wise man. He's 88 now. I think he's 10 years older than me. He often would say things like in his sermons, like, would you, if you had the chance to live forever, take that chance, knowing it would deprive a new soul of life? You've never met him before, or her before. So, so many friends passing in the last couple of years.
Yesterday, last week.
Yeah. Okay, this is a poem to my friend and partner of 55 years. For Robin, Valentine's Day, '07. With you, I'm forever getting the two kinds of love mixed up. Your earthly shape appeals more than most. Strong, curvaceous, veil of iridescent brown hair over laughing eyes. Then our minds wander together over hollow lands and hilly lands to the place where the earth is mostly made of dreams. Sometimes I have to shoo away a small crowd of fey creatures and guess if you are in Fylgja form or not. Fylgja is a Scandinavian word for your animal self that you kind of inhabit some of the time. I have to shoo away a small crowd of fey creatures and guess if you are in Fylgja form or not. Shall we shapeshift together or just walk along as boy and girl, holding hands and talking? While the gods, goddesses, beasts, ghosts, mountain sages, and yes, scurrilous dwarves and gnomes that are always watching from the wings, wonder at such simplicity of enjoyment. Okay, this is one of Robin's, so she should read it.
Yeah, read it.
This was for a dream which Stephen had.
I do every night.
Elf, dwarf, hobbit, human, trooping together, each with our skills of mind and hand, warrior, wizard, eagle king, and old tree sage. Companions met in the green forever of Summerlands. Yet who among us summons the quest? He who is nameless, that dark lord, his the call, the unseen chord, edge, precipice, out into terror, sleepless night, free fall. Hobbit, human, dwarf, elf, frog, and fish, perhaps a dog, to sniff right way from wrong. Troubadours and thespians, Gwithian, that clever man, always had a ready tongue. We know our parts, hold strong. The road is steep, the way is long. But whose hand's on the wheel of runaway fate? Big heart and steady hand, a ready jest, always alert and never late. We may forget our driver's name. Our hearts recall that blue-faced charioteer who guides this quest.